Hello and welcome to another Miniatures Monday, and today we're doing some more of the building of the Kytan Ravager. But today is more of a kind of rite of passage for, I guess you could say, Warhammer YouTubers. I don't like calling myself a YouTuber yet, but we're getting there, hey? But it's the working with resin. Everyone has one eventually, their video, so I thought I'd double it up with the building the Kytan Ravager. Now, first though, I wanted to show you some little details I'd found on the models that I was looking for last video, then ended up going through with fine-tooth comb and looking for individual parts. Now, as you can see there, there's a slight slip in the mould there. Now, that's not that bad. That's something that can be filed down. A lot of it's on the gate, and it's not something we really need to worry about. However, there's also a mould slip on the waist joint. As you can see there, the spikes don't quite line up. Now, that's a more serious one. Now, I could probably request a fix from forgeworld for that, and they'd send me a new recasted part. However, I feel like, due to where it is, it'll be easy to hide as well as easy to repair. Basically, I'm going to be filing down the little groove that's built up, and then clip off and file away the edge of the spikes and just fill it in with some green stuff, or your epoxy of choice. Now, this video, if you haven't seen one of these videos before, forgeworld resin comes with its release agent still on. If we have a look at this, it's shiny. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just to help the piece come out of the mould. I would like it if they cleaned it off there, but it's no biggie to actually deal with. So, how do you clean the release agent off large pieces? It is mainly large pieces, you'll see this on. However, it is also on small pieces. To do so, you need two things. Well, three things technically. You need a bowl, or a sink, or a container to put some water in. Warm water with soap. I use washing up liquid, but I've also seen people use everything under the sun. Basically anything that will clean. And it's crucial you have the water be warm. If it's hot, you'll warp the pieces and melt them. We don't want that. And then you need a coarse brush. Now, this is something we had lying around. It's an old scrub for dishes when you're washing them. You can also use an old tough brush, a wire brush, basically anything that's not going to scrape the details off but still be firm enough to clean it. Now, what you need to do is place each of the pieces in water. I'm just going to use these three parts to show you, and it's still warm. I've probably put a bit too much soap in there, but you want to put them in, and I tend to put all the pieces in at once, then fish out a piece, give it a little scrub, like so, all over, just to like loosen some of the release agent. You probably won't see any visible difference here, but I find this step helps. It stops having to do a repeat wash. Just give it a scrub all over, and then you repeat that for every part you've got in here. I will be doing this with the rest of the Kytan Ravager, but just for this demonstration purposes, just going to be using these. Like so, and you just want to be not rough with it, but you want to be thorough. You want to get everywhere amongst all the grooves, all the detail. Now, this is another reason why it's important to have warm water, because your coarse brush will ruin your resin if it's on hot water, because it'll make it malleable. So once you've done all of them, you then place them back in the warm water and you leave them for a couple of hours. Generally the consensus is overnight, but I also find if you want to do it first thing in the morning before going to work, leaving it there and then checking them when you come in, say 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, it'll be fine. And in fact, that's what I'm doing today. I've got a long day ahead of me, so I'm doing these first thing in the morning, and then I will pop back later to show you what it's like, just to prove that it's not just an overnight kind of thing. So after a few hours for me and a quick jump cut for you, we will be back to see what they look like. And welcome back to the resin. Well, the Kytan Ravager. So I've left this for a few hours. I decided to leave it for the day and then overnight, but that's not really something that you would need to do. A good few hours, really. And as you can see, the water is very cloudy, and around here there's a film floating in the surface. Now that's a good sign that the release agent has come off. It'll be like a grey film skin over the top of the water. So before I carry on with this, I want to just say about why this is done. Now, the release agent stops paint from sticking to models, and I've also found from experience it can also cause the superglue to rub loose if the film does come off. That's really the main reason for it. It stops your glue. It stops your glue from sticking, as well as your paint. Which, when it comes to the hobby, is a huge thing. Now, if you're someone who, for some reason, has bought forgeworld models and decided you just want to use them as the bare plastic, you could probably get away with just gluing them together. Though I can't see why you would want to do that for the money you would spend on them. Anyway, so these pieces are all done. They've all been floating in here, well, sunk in here. And if I pull out this piece, one of these pieces was really key for having the release agent all over it. Now, under the camera currently, it won't feel like there's much difference because the water makes it shiny. Now, once it's released from the water, I usually do give it just one more scrub over just to get any more of the release agent that's stuck to it off. And I'm just going to give it a little swirl just to make sure. And then I set it aside on a tea towel to leave it to dry for another couple of hours. As you can see, forgeworld stuff does dedicate your time, so you are paying for what you get. You can also just hand dry these if you wanted to. Again, I'm going to pull out the waist joint here, give it another scrub over once I pulled the hair off. Give it another scrub over like so, just all around, make sure there's no residue left. Using the same brush as before, giving it another quick swirl in the water, just tease off, and then setting it aside. And that's really it. You do that for all your pieces, and then your forgeworld resin is to go. Now, if there's any pieces after drying still look and feel like they've got the film on them, just give them another soak in a bath. It shouldn't be that many, however. But do it at a slightly warmer temperature just to help release it. Again, you want to start warm and work the temperature up as opposed to hot because you don't want to warp these pieces. So I'm going to carry on doing this with all these parts, and then the next video for the Kytan Ravager is probably going to be a build review. So that has been That Welsh Nerd doing a quick resin tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.